the sales show. Today I'm very excited. We have with us a special guest and some other people who are coming in as well, so it's going to be very exciting. Our topic today is cold calling clinic. Now, I know this is something that fills some people's hearts with dread when they think about picking up the phone and calling someone that they don't yet know. Or perhaps it's, maybe not even that cold, but you're concerned about the sales part of it, or getting appointments, whatever it might be. So we have two experts with us today to help with that. Our usual panelists, Stephen Lerman, and also we have Helen Tebay. So let's just, before we dive in, let's do some quick introductions. Stephen, I'll come to you first.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Stephen Lerman from Chameleon BDS, Outsourced Business Development Service. So for people that don't have the time, don't like to, or are afraid of picking up the phone to make those phone calls, you can talk to me and I will do it on your behalf.
Fabulous. Thank you. And Jess, our other usual panelist, please introduce yourself.
Morning, everyone. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jess. I work with businesses through my 6-step brand loyalty process to make sure that your business is attracting more of them loyal customers that keep coming back and keep spending with your brand, so then you can increase your profits within your overall business. I have a quick video that shows the 6-step process. So if you want to see that and the impact it can make on your business, then just comment underneath this video, drop me a message, and I'm more than happily send that over to you. So that's me, Jess.
Lovely. And our guest today, Helen Tebay.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Helen Tebay, the sales lady, and I'm a sales trainer and coach. And one of the modules that I teach out is how to remove the chills from cold calling, and among other things related to sales. But I find that this is probably one of the most challenging subjects that people ask me, how do we do it? How do you do it effectively? So excited to be here.
Oh, you're welcome, Helen. Good to have you here. And for anyone who doesn't know me yet, my name is Una Doyle. I'm a business strategist and coach, and I can help any business to unlock 50K or more in only 50 minutes. If you want to know how, comment below or DM me, and I'll be happy to send you a video that shows you the exact 5 steps that we do to make that happen. All right, well, let's dive into today's show. So I know that both Helen and Stephen have got some tips to share with us, and we also have one of my team members actually has made herself a willing guinea pig to do some role play as well, and maybe Helen will do some. We'll see how things go and timings and all of that. But I think first let's just look at some actual tips. What is it that that you can help? And then, when you're watching, please pop your comments below. So if you're watching live, do a hashtag live. If you're watching later, but hashtag replay. But if you ask any questions in the comments or share your experience, we will be able to come back and engage with you around that as well. Okay, so Stephen, let's come to you for our first tip around cold calling, please. And then
okay. Thank you, Una. So I did have 10, but I've actually got 11. And the most important one to start off with is smile when you dial, as somebody once said to me. I just say it's important to have a smile on your face, because if you've got a smile on your face, when you talk to people, it resonates through the telephone and people can tell when you're talking. So, hi, Una, this is Stephen Lerman calling from Chameleon BDS. Sounds a lot better than, hi, Una, this is Stephen calling from Chameleon BDS. You can actually hear it in your voice, and it sets the tone of the conversation at the very beginning. So most important, number one, have a smile on your face when you pick up the telephone. Irrespective of what's going on in your life, you have a smile on your face and you start and you hit the ground running.
That totally makes sense. And yes, we could really hear the difference in your voice there. Fantastic. Helen, let's go to you for a next tip.
Yeah, for me, my top tip is we often don't have a clear aim for the phone call, so we just call, and it gets a bit panicked, and people start trying to sell, and so we've got to remember, what is the aim of that initial call? Always have that in mind. So is it to check who the right person is? Is it to find out how to get in front of them best? Is it to try and book an appointment? What is the aim of the phone call? And just to be mindful that your aim might be quite different to the aim of the person that you're speaking to. So, and that's okay. That's all right. But just what's your aim? Be clear on that.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think that's really important. I mean, we always want to keep the end in mind, as Stephen Covey says. I think that's good advice for anything that you're doing in business, really. So, yeah, wonderful. Brilliant. Stephen, let's come back to you for another tip.
Okay, a common mistake is talking to the wrong person. When somebody picks up the telephone, cold callers get so excited that somebody's actually picked up the telephone, they start to open their mouths and start to spill everything, and it's the wrong person. So they've wasted all that energy by talking to the wrong person. So it's so important. Qualify the person before you start your pitch. Check that they're a decision maker and they're in a position to buy, or or to take the conversation further. And if they're not, find out who is. But most importantly, just because they may not be the right person, don't write them off, because if you engage with them and build a little bit of a rapport with them, they're more than likely going to want to help you get in front of the right person or put you in touch with that right person. So make sure you're talking to the right person, and if not, find out who is.
I think that's a really good point. And I know like many years ago, one of my first jobs was as a receptionist. And yeah, like you want to make sure that people treat you right, because sometimes the bosses will say, what was this person like? Because they want to check, how do they treat you? Or they're kind of a bit like, oh, I'm not sure about this company or this person. They'll quite often ask you. And, yeah. So, and I think it's just like, be nice. There's no reason to not be nice, is there? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think sometimes people feel a bit pressured and they forget about who's on the other side of the phone. They're just a person, they're a human being just like you are. So yeah, fabulous. Okay, great. Helen, have you got another tip for us, please?
Yeah, sure. So if we can try and avoid, I'm sorry for bothering you. And when people are not confident, they will normally prefix something with, I'm just wondering if, please, can I? And these are all kind of closed questions where it will result in usually a yes or a no. So we just need to be really confident in what we're doing. So instead of, I'm sorry for bothering you, I realise I've called unannounced. I'm looking to speak to Joe Blogs, so that you're kind of acknowledging that, but we're not asking a question. We're just going to, a statement, I'm just looking to speak to, and then not, is he available? Is she available? Just stop, So definitely try and avoid, I'm sorry for bothering you, because you might not have actually bothered them, but by saying that, you've kind of put it in their mind that actually, yes, I was in the middle of something. So yeah, that's my tip.
Great, planted that seed. Brilliant. Yes, thanks, Imran. It's a really good point. He's saying it's always a useful refresher, especially if you haven't done it for a while. But even if you have, it's actually really easy to become complacent and forget what we know. And we think we know something, but we're not actually doing it. We're not actually doing it. And as the wise Yoda said, oh, actually, I'm just getting this wrong now. Is it? Oh, yeah. Was it Yoda? To know is to do, not to do is not to know, or something along those lines. I've completely messed that up, haven't I? Oh, well, there we go. So tip number 4, avoid, I'm sorry for bothering you, or things of that ilk. Fantastic. All right, well, let's do one more tip, and then let's bring Mia on the call and see what questions she has, because she's right at the coalface doing this kind of thing right now. So, Stephen, over to you for another tip.
Okay, so there's kind of 2. So just to follow on what Helen said about, I'm sorry for bothering you and asking closed questions. So always ask open-ended questions, because that will engage the prospect more. So avoid questions that will incur a yes or a no answer, and ask them questions that will allow them to open up and tell them what their problems are, what their issues are, what their concerns are, and enable you to engage in a further conversation. But a big thing is not listening. So we're quite... and I've done this myself in the past. So excited about getting someone on the phone, you start talking, you just go, you're whittering on, and then you ask a question and you don't listen to the answer. So what is the point? And you've got that person on the phone, they've said yes to the phone call, they're talking to you, but then you go off on a tangent, and then you don't listen to what they have to say. So they might be asking you a question, they could be telling you that they're interested or they're not interested. and you want them to take away something positive from the call. But if you're not listening to them, then it's been a waste of a telephone call. So listen, I was always told you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should use them in that order.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Okay, great stuff. Well, I'm going to bring Mia on the call now. Hey, Mia. Thank you for joining us.
Hiya.
Great stuff. So you've heard what's been going on with the tips that Helen and Stephen have been giving. Before they kind of dive in, do you have any questions for them?
Well, my big problem myself personally, I find, is when they say no, I'm not kind of chasing them up or giving any more. I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, then bye. And that's my downfall. So is there any way to kind of get around that, or without feeling like I'm pestering them? Because that's how I start to feel almost.
Helen, do you want to go first?
Yeah. What? Just first, Mia, what are they saying no to? Is it a quote or is it a call or?
Just saying, for example, a one-on-one with Una, just for an example. And if they say no, not interested, then I'm kind of like, okay, sorry, bye. And then that's that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, who wouldn't want a one-to-one with Una? She's ace. But not everybody's in that position to sort of think and understand. And of course, initially, we've interrupted someone's thought process. So if you think of your day when you're doing things and then someone rings, you're not always ready to receive that information. So the natural thing for the brain to do is to bat it away as quickly as possible. And usually I haven't got time, or I can't prioritize that right now. So a good question to ask is that's fine. I realize I've called, unannounced. When is a good time to have a look at this? And, also asking, what exactly are you seeing in that where you don't think it's worth a 50 minutes with Una? What is it that you're seeing that just tells you it's not for you? What makes you say no? Just get curious. I'm just wondering, without asking why, because why is a little bit can come across a little bit aggressive or accusatory. Well, why not? Just wondering, what your thoughts are. What makes you think that that's not going to be of value? Because you're wanting to just see what's underneath the initial no, which won't be usually a flat out no. It's just I can't right now. Does that make sense?
Following on from that, another tip which goes alongside that is, instead of asking if they're free for a one-to-one, give somebody a couple of dates or 2 or 3 dates and times. More than likely, they will pick the last one. If you give people options, they'll, rather than saying yes or no, they're going to say no. But if you give them, are you free on tomorrow at 3 o'clock, or next Monday at 2 o'clock, or Tuesday at 4 o'clock, they might pick one. They're more likely to pick something because you're giving them options. If you give them a straight option to say yes or no, they're going to say no. Give them choices. Try that. But like Helen said, who wouldn't want a one-to-one with Una?
Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, and I think, and I know in this, I'm so glad that this opportunity came up for Mia, because, she's only started with me just very recently, and I've been really busy and not had as much time as I would have liked to do some training with her. And I'm not an expert trainer in calling like you two are anyway. I just, I actually wonder about the whole structure of the call, and that's why, I think doing some role play would be really interesting to see. Like I've given Mia, some clues, some things to say and not to say, and things like that. But I think the structure of the call, like getting to the point where they say no, what happened before that? Like when I'm talking to clients about their sales process, like to me, the yes or the no happens way before. So I think it's the same in a call. It's like, well, how's the call being opened? What's happening before the question is being asked? Those kinds of things. I mean, what do you think? Should we do a bit of a role play, or do you want to ask some questions first, Stephen? What's your thoughts?
We could ask some questions first. So Mia is making phone calls to you on your behalf to set up one-to-ones. Is that primarily? Yeah.
Yeah, there's two different scenarios. So she's inviting people to a networking event that I attend to. So people who I would like to come as guests, so that I can get to know them better, and perhaps I've got people I'd like to introduce them to. So that's one thing that she's doing. And then the other thing is I've a lot of people who, I've spoken to. So some are past clients. Some are people who we've spoken to at some point. They've expressed some interest in working with me or having a coach or getting some help. But for whatever reason, it never happened at the time. So she's going and reconnecting with those people as well.
Okay, so let's go with that scenario. Reconnecting with people that have expressed some type of interest but have never pursued it further for whatever reason. So Mia, when you're talking to them, what's the first thing I would say is, hi, it's Mia. I'm calling from Una Doyle's office. Do you have a few moments to spare? Okay.
Don't worry about writing this stuff down, Mia, because it's all recorded. Yeah. Get it afterwards.
Because like Helen said, never apologize for picking up the telephone and interrupting somebody's day, but ask them, do you have a few moments to spare? And if they say, well, no, say, when would be a convenient time to call? Are you free tomorrow at 3 or Friday at 4 or something like that? So give them options, and they might come back to you and say, okay, now's a better time.
See, that's where I think I've been going wrong as well, my opening lines, because I've usually just been kind of going, hi, I'm phoning on behalf of Una Doyle, and then blah, 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 blah. I'm going straight into it rather than, oh, is this a good time? Would this be good for you? Would this work for you? I'm just going straight into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then give people a chance to respond, and then ask them how they are. It's got to be more conversational. Generally, people want to buy, they don't want to be sold to. So I always try to avoid the sleazy salesperson approach and make my conversations or my interactions much more conversational. Something funny always happens to me on the telephone. I'm talking to people and people always laugh, and it breaks the ice, and they ask how people are, how's their day. If you can hear kids in the background, say something that will relax them. Okay. So they know, even though they know it's a sales call, they'll be a lot more relaxed and a lot more engaging. So ask them, say, have you got a few moments? And if they say yes, say, okay, brilliant. And then start off by saying, you recently engaged with Una at whatever time, whatever day it was, but nothing transpired further at that time. Was there any particular reason why you decided not to proceed? Okay, and they might tell you they were too busy, they didn't have the resource, whatever, and say how. And then obviously we've been in a pandemic, so it's a great opportunity to talk about what's gone on over the last 18 months. See how business is. How have they coped over the last 18 months? As the business, have they got busier? Have they had to lay people off? Are they looking to re-engage with everybody now that we're through the pandemic? And just what you want to do is ask some open-ended questions. Okay. Oh, you've gone all fuzzy. I can't see you properly. And see what they come back with. That would be my first tip. What do you think, Helen?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And I know the sales world is a little bit divided in asking if you've got a few minutes, but I have always got better results from doing that, because there is no point in ploughing ahead when someone's just about to walk into a meeting, they're picking their stuff up, they're thinking about that, and they're just wanting to kind of get you off the phone, because now really is not a good time. So it always pays, I think, in the long run to ask, have you got a few minutes? Some people say, well, everyone just says no, but they don't. Generally, they don't. I don't know what you find, Stephen, but most people like going, then what is it? And definitely the specifics. We did a proposal for you. You had a call with Una or whatever back in October. End of October. Whatever it is, be specific, because it'll start to reactivate a part of our brain called the RAS system, which goes and looks for evidence. So it'll start looking and thinking of Una, October, phone call, it'll start that going. So yeah, really good points. I'd agree with all of them. And like you say, have that aim. The aim is to reconnect and get that call booked in, or whatever it is, chase the call, whatever. Yeah.
And then I would, and Una, if you're still doing that 50K in 50 minutes, and if you're, what you want to do is you want to engage with them to the point where they're interested. So generally, people like something for free, or what they perceive as a freebie. So if you want to engage with them with that 50K in 50 minutes, you could lead with that.
Well, that 50K in 50 minutes is actually a paid for session.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did, when I first started doing it, I did some free ones to just, kind of get some testimonials and practice and all of that. But I think what we could say though is, because like a lot of these people, I haven't been in touch with them. I mean, they probably have had some newsletters and things, but some of them are they're quite old. Now it's been a while since we've spoken to them, and so my business has changed hugely in the last year or so, like massively. I have got resources now that I didn't have then. So I have free training videos, like, so for instance, the 5 steps to double your profits training video.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So there you go. So you've got something. So the last time they engaged with Una, none of these resources were available. So you could say, I don't know if you're aware, but Una's business has changed dramatically over the last 12 months. She's now got free content, or I don't know if you remember if you signed up to her newsletter or anything like that, but she's now offering free training videos, or whatever it is that you're offering. Can we sign you back up? I think you will see some value in this. And then what I'd like to do is give you a call back after you've had a chance to look at some of these videos and see if there's an opportunity to set you up with a call, a no obligation, right, Una? No obligation call?
Yeah.
No obligation, no commitment call. Have a chat with Una and see if there's an opportunity for you guys to work together. You want to keep it light. There's no pressure. Okay, there's absolutely no pressure. Because if you're relaxed and you put the ball in their court, and no matter how the conversation finishes, if you say thank you, it's been great talking to you, they're more likely to remember you the next time something happens, and they're like, oh, I need some help, Una. Yeah. So irrespective, they say no, they're horrible to you, or I've not got the time, or okay, thank you very much. I'm really, I appreciate your time. I look forward to speaking to you soon. But always keep it nice, always keep it polite, and always keep that smile on your face, no matter what happens.
Yeah, if they say no, please don't apologize.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, so you don't apologize. Yeah,
you're not doing anything wrong. All you've done is made a phone call.
Because what they're saying is no, and it's a no for now. It's not a no forever. It's a no for now, and the more no's you get will lead to more yeses. It's that simple.
Definitely. So I got a question, Stephen. So we've talked about how Mia can open. And we've talked about an offer that she can make of a way to add value that might re-engage them. What about actually asking them how their business is going, and like how things have been for them? Should she do that first before making that offer?
You know what? Yes, ask the questions first, because you want to engage with them. They want to feel that you care. So you're going to ask some questions. So ask some questions and then shush. Write down the answers. Write down what they tell you. And then what you need to do is then say it back to them so they know that you've listened to them. No, not the whole thing, but pick out some valid points and then say, okay, so from my understanding is this, and this. Okay, so what I can tell you is that Una's business has changed over the last 12 months, and she's now offering free support in the style of these videos. Can I interest you in signing you up so you can see the content? And then what I'd like to do is have another conversation with you in about a week or so. When would be a good time to chat, and give them some dates?
Yeah,
it's not always going to.
Yeah, but I was just going to say, what just popped in my head. Apologies for interrupting. The other thing that occurred to me is, if people were saying, "Oh, I can't afford to work with Una," it's too expensive. I do actually now have a membership that they can join that's significantly more affordable than my group or one-to-one coaching. So I guess that's something else as well that you don't necessarily, I wouldn't give details necessarily at that point, but you could say Una does also now have a broader range of offerings. And for some people it might be that they wanted something more, for a while I was really only doing that group. Now there's the membership level, there's the group coaching level, which is not like most other people's group coaching. It's very intense. They get a lot of help and support. And then the private coaching, where people want to kind of have more access and more hands-on help with their business. So I guess there's a wider variety there than maybe if they spoke to me a couple of years ago or a year and a half ago, before I had some of these things in place. Then the landscape has changed a lot, and who knows what's happened with their business as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, most definitely. So the way you start is you engage with them, you ask questions, then you shush, you wait for the answers, then you read them back. You go over, and just to clarify a few points. So my understanding is this. Have I got that right? And then you try to pick some of the things that Una's offering that might be of benefit. Don't go through, like so don't go through everything. Don't go through too many details. And then you want to give them time to think about it. Don't try and close too soon, because if you've just given them a load of information and then you try and close, they might panic and shut down. So don't go for the close too soon. And I'm sure Helen will agree with you. It's, it could be the number of touch points has increased dramatically over the last 12 to 18 months before picking up the telephone and closing a sale. Okay, it used to be about 4 or 5, no, even 3 to 4. Now it's about 7 to 8. You've got to engage them a lot more. And then they start to remember you. And like Helen says, the RAS, the reticular activator, which will, it will, God, Una, I've seen that. So they see the emails from Una. They've had a phone call from Mia. They might see some content on LinkedIn or whatever social media. They start to remember. And then when you pick up the phone again, they're like, oh, Mia works for Una. So don't try to close the deal too soon. You'll lose it. Because like Helen said, what's the idea of the phone call? It's not to close the deal. It might be to garner some information, make a follow-up call, make an appointment, and then get them in front of Una. So that's four steps. And then there's the phone calls and the messaging in between. So those are all touch points.
Love it. That's great. Well, should we do a practice, Mia? Yeah. I just want to check I can hear you.
Sorry, I had myself muted.
Good. I'm glad that wasn't a technical issue. Great. All right. Oops. Stephen, over to you then. Should we do this? Helen, would you mind being the person that Lee is calling, and then Stephen can break it down afterwards? How's that sound? Yeah. Awesome. Are you happy to make up a persona situation kind of thing? Well, let's just say you spoke to me about group coaching over a year ago. At the time, couldn't afford it, and think that's it. Some things have happened between now and then. I'm sure you can make something up. Awesome. I'll mute. Okay. So, Mia, over to you. Ring, ring.
Hi, Helen. I'm phoning on behalf of Una Doyle. Is now a good time?
Oh, Una who? Sorry? Just say that again.
Una Doyle, my work coach. Oh, sorry, no, I messed up already. I work for Una Doyle. I represent her.
Okay.
Her 50 min. What is it, Una? It's 50 mins. 50K, 50 mins.
Yeah, they might not know that, because that's something that I've adopted more recently. So yeah, if you just say Una Doyle, business coach or business coach, yeah, either of those.
Yeah, I remember Mia now. Yeah, that was a while ago, wasn't
it? We're just circling back. Is now a good time?
Yeah, I've got a couple of minutes.
Right, I'm getting in touch because I think it would be beneficial for you to have another one-on-one with Una. What's your thoughts?
Well, yeah, the main reason why I didn't take it forward at the time was just because I couldn't really prioritize the finance for it. And then things kind of started, getting better on my own, so I felt like I didn't really need it. That was obviously, we were talking back in October.
And how are things for you now?
Yeah, better, much better. What is it that you're kind of offering?
Well, if it makes sense for you to visit, and then a one-on-one with Una to circle back from where we was last time, would that make sense for you?
I guess so. It depends if there's anything different, really.
A lot has changed. Oh, sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
A lot has changed for Una in the past year with everything going on.
Mm.
And she has a lot of free material. Is that the right word? She has a lot of free material that I feel like would be helpful for you.
Okay, yeah. Well, that might be a good starting point. If you can, is it sort of a
subscription or back once you've had a look at that?
Yeah, is it on a subscription or membership, or what is it when you say free?
We do have. Is it a weekly newsletter, Una? Is it weekly?
Semi-regular is how I put it.
We do have a newsletter that I can subscribe you to, or you can go directly to Una's website and have a look at it. Or I can send the information to you directly.
Yeah, send me the link to subscribe, and then it might be worth just having a one-to-one with her. Is her Calendly link on that? Can I just book in through that?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. All right, send me the link, Mia, and then I'll get in touch with her on her Calendly.
Perfect. Thank you.
No, thanks for reading. It's always good to get, free information and everything. Yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for ringing.
Perfect. Thank you.
Well done, Mia.
It's tough to be put on the spot, Mia. So, kudos for doing that. Right. So a couple of things. I'll start at the beginning. I'll start at the end because that's the last thing I remember. What I found is that when it comes to booking appointments, I never let the person on the other end of the phone do it. Helen, you made it a little bit easy by saying, have you got a Calendly link? Because if you give somebody a calendar link, they will never, ever book on, because as soon as you put the phone down, oh, look, bright light, or something will happen, or the phone will ring, or they'll have an appointment. So I always say, I've got the calendar link right in front of me. Can you tell me what dates are most convenient for you? So that's number one. But that's a simple mistake. And honestly, once you do that and you start doing it a few times, you'll remember it. And always have the calendar link open so you can say, right, she's got availability on Thursday or whatever day. So that number one. Open-ended questions, which you did. You asked open-ended questions, which is brilliant, because the last thing you want to do is give Helen an opportunity to say yes or no, and then she'll put the phone down. Be specific with your with the offerings. I mean, I know it's all on the fly, but you'll be much more prepared. So you want to have like 3 things that Una's now doing differently. So like she's got the subscription service, she's got the news, the semi-regular newsletter, and that her business has changed over the last 12 months because of the pandemic, or you just evolved?
Well, I have I've got access to I've created and got access to new resources. Like I've got the proprietary software now that I use in the 50k sessions. I've got the W Profits workshop that I didn't have then. There's a kind of monthly membership that people, where it's like all online, but I do also have a monthly call with that. The private more in-depth private coaching, VIP days, I've had a few people buy those recently as well. So I think for me, the one piece of feedback I would give, in addition to what Stephen said, is actually just maybe, and I don't know what you think about this, maybe you think it's too soon, but I'd like to know more about, before sending resources, I want to know, well, what are the resources trying to solve? So I have a range of free resources, but what's their biggest single challenge right now? Is it getting clients? Is it that there's no problem getting clients, but they're too busy, but they're not making enough profit? Are they having issues with team members, or they're about to hire their first team member? Like, I want to know, like, where are they at? What's their biggest challenge?
Yeah, and that was, ask, like I said, ask a couple of open-ended questions and see, what's happened over the last 18 months since you last engaged. But most importantly, not Una, Mia. And this might be just because it was we're doing it this way, is ask if you're talking to the right person. So unless you've got a direct line for that person, because you just assumed it was Helen. So these are just simple.
It would
just
be
simple
the
things.
person, typically.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay.
The zoner.
Yeah.
I mean, that maybe a handful of times where I thought I'm speaking to said person, but it's not. It'd be their office or whoever it may be. So it makes sense.
It's just a small thing, but yeah, just clarify you're talking to the right person. I don't know if you did that or not. But yeah, other than that, Mia, for being live on the internet, that was great. Honestly,
the role as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant.
Really good, really good. You had really nice tone and pace, and that's always good because people rush sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's been really helpful. I was really like, oh my god.
One of the things I love about Mia is that she just goes for it, even when she feels a bit nervous, and I think that's a great quality.
Yeah, it's especially with this kind of task, because you just got to kind of give yourself up in this process, if this makes sense. And it's not really about you, even though in your head it feels quite impactive. It can feel like it's caught here a little bit, and that I've got to get this right. And if it'll take sort of first sort of 10, 20, 30 calls before you start getting a little bit of a rhythm of what works well and what doesn't. So, just take a little bit of pressure off,
and also, sorry, go ahead, Mia.
The first call I kind of done for Una way back then, I was just like, I found it hard to kind of had it all written down in front of me. I tried making sure that it all came out clear, but the second that person answered the phone, I was like, and my mind just went blank.
It's all right. It happens. But remember this, as far as the other person's on the phone is concerned, you're the expert. They don't know what you know and don't know. Okay. So you have that air of not ignorant, but they have that air about you that you're the expert. They don't know you're a newbie to Una's team. Yeah. So you're the expert.
Really good point. Yeah.
Think about that as you pick up the phone and smile on your face, say, "Hi, may I speak to Helen T-Bay, please?" Or whoever it is, just it's all about confidence. You'll get that as time goes on. But and once you master it, you'll be like, I don't know what the problem was, honestly.
Yeah. And there's no shortcut to this, as you've just said. People like, when I have a script, then I'll feel confident. When I have X, then I'll feel Y. You can't have it like that. It just doesn't exist. You have to take the action. There's no shortcut. People are always like, I'll just wait till I've got it right. I'll listen to people. And that's fine. But you've got to take the action, because that's the only way we learn in anything. I mean, Una will tell you that as well from a coaching point of view. It's all about the actions that you set after. So you're doing exactly what I would be doing, and exactly the right sort of stuff really to learn. So well done.
And don't be disheartened with a no. It makes no difference.
Absolutely. And look, here's the thing, Mia, is that if someone isn't ready to engage with me, that's totally fine. I only want to be working with people who are committed, they're ambitious, they need my help where I can actually make a difference. And if they either, for whatever reason, aren't ready, or maybe they're working with someone else, or maybe they just don't feel the need right now, it's totally okay. There's nothing wrong with that. All we're doing is just checking to see what's the current situation. Can we be of help? If we can't, no problem. Thanks for your time. It's all good. So there's no, and I think that's one thing that's really important, and maybe is a bit different. And I know I was at an exhibition in November, and I was talking to a salesperson who'd moved from one company to another, and one of the key reasons why he'd moved was because there was so much pressure from the other company, and they were, he wanted to build relationships and have conversations and actually get to know people's situations, and he wasn't really allowed to. He was being pressured to only spend so much time on the phone. And actually, many, many years ago, I used to do telesales, right? And I remember being frustrated because I had really good numbers And then, but what they were doing is they were trying to get me to have more calls. Okay. And I was kind of like, yeah, but I can't have the same quality of conversation if I make more calls. So my sales are going to go down. So it's interesting, isn't it? Like, you know, you've got to kind of work with things. So we're going to wrap up. Before we do, I just want to, like, Jess, like, you know, you've been like me, kind of engaging and listening to what's been going on here. I'm just wondering, what's your thoughts? Like, what have you learned? What can you take away? Or do you have any questions? You know, before we wrap up.
So much. Like, I'm going to look back through this recording after and kind of make some proper notes, because it's been really valuable, and I feel so grateful to have like a front row seat, if you will, as well, to kind of watch it all unravel. So it's been really valuable for me. One comment that I would love to make is when Stephen was talking about touch points, you know, making sure your brand is aligned to all of them touch points, so then they can all, you know, resonate, become memorable, and things like that. But something that I wanted to ask, if we had enough time, was the follow-up is something that I do kind of, I'll end a call and I'll beat myself up going, I'll beat myself up, I shouldn't really say that, but, you know, I kind of go, I didn't follow up right, or I didn't ask to book a time in when I should follow up. So what do I do now? Do I just call them back in a week, in a few days? How do I leave that? So if we do have time, my question would be, if not in the comments is fine. If someone's, you know, if I say, okay, wait, when is a convenient time for us to follow up? And they say, no, I don't know, and, you know, and kind of bat it off, what do I do then? And what if I forget to ask to reschedule a follow-up call? What could I do then?
If you forget to schedule a follow-up call, as soon as you remember in that moment, take action, just give them a call. And it's much better on the phone, much more effective. You know, I just realised, Stephen, when we were wrapping up that call, I didn't put in a follow-up. And, you know, in my experience, we know that, you know, once you review the quote or once you review, you're probably going to have questions, because most people do. It's quite normal. Let's get our diaries and let's get a call booked in. You know, when's good for you over the next couple of weeks or the next 48 hours?
Yeah, the fortune is definitely in the follow-up. You've got that person on the phone, they're engaged, and then you say, okay, so let's talk again, or whatever you want to do to go to the next step. You've got to follow it up, because otherwise you're going to lose that momentum. So yeah, absolutely, fortune's in the follow-up. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
If they're saying that they don't want to follow up, or they've got everything they need, we just need to review, I'd definitely be asking, when you review, what sort of things are you going to be considering? You know, fit to have your company of choice to work with, or the person of choice. What sort of things are you going to be considering? How long do you think you need to review? You know, just because to give them something to think about. Because again, sometimes people feel the choice is being taken away, and we're going to get in a high pressured where I've got to make a decision. So all we're doing is gently guiding them, you know, and asking them to start thinking about questions. If they're going to review, they sometimes just say that and they've no idea what they're looking at, you know, and then they've got questions and there's no follow-up booked in. That's when you find most people then go to the person that understood their needs the most. And you get that ghosting kind of scenario. So the follow-up's key.
Fantastic. Great. And a good thing you can always do is either have post-its or have, like, at times I've had like you know, those clear perspex stands with, like, I used to do that with live streams when I first started live streaming, to remember to kind of close up and things like that as well. So yeah, quite key. Brilliant. All right, well, listen, thank you so much, Helen, for joining us today. I know you need to hop off now, and we need to go as well. This has been a long one, but thank you again, Leah, for
thank you, everyone. This has actually been really helpful. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good luck, Mia.
Thank you, Stephen and Helen, for your tips, and Jess for being here as well. And let us know what you think. You know, put in the comments what are further questions that you may have. Obviously, feel free to reach out to Stephen, to Helen, to any of us who might who you might kind of resonate with and you want some further information from. You know, we're going to be here at the same time next week, talking about another topic, which I have forgotten which one we're covering. Do you remember, Jess? It'll be here somewhere. So it'll be in the no, I can't. It's not coming up. Never mind. So yes, we will be here same time next week with another fantastic topic. We're here every week, and we will see you all soon. Bye for now.
See you later.